Hi, hello, vanakkam, namaskar, and welcome to yet another episode of my podcast, The People I Meet. My name is Shruti Vijay Kumar Vasant. I'm a radio jockey from Chennai, and on this episode today, I'm going to be introducing to you a dear friend of mine, somebody who I have looked up to, somebody who, on the first impression, to be very honest, I was a little scared of, all right? And I think she's also been very honest in admitting this, that that's the first reaction a lot of people have when they meet her. But inside, she's such a warm, such a fun-loving person who always has so many surprises up her sleeve. She's someone who's truly creative, someone who always looks out for perfection, and someone who truly creates magic with her hands. So today, it gives me immense pleasure in welcoming to my podcast, makeup artist Vishnu Priya. Hi Vishnu, how are you?
Hi Shruti, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. So, like I said, my first honest admission on this podcast itself, I've told you this in person also when we've had this conversation. I genuinely thought that, that you're a very strict person, that you really didn't want to, just come, I do my work, I, do makeup on you and then we go. But it was only later on during our interactions that I got to know the fun side of you. And every day is a new surprise with you, okay? That is something that I have realized after following your journey for the past couple of years. But for the benefit of my listeners who are listening, let's talk about that. Let's talk about first impressions, okay? So as a makeup artist, how do people sort of view you? How do you handle it when people tell you this?
Okay, first of all, thank you so much for this call, Shruti, and I'm extremely excited and nervous to be on this. I think that is what I feel every time I meet someone new or every time someone approaches me or talks to me. I'm very nervous in the inside.
Okay.
But I think I put out a good front in front of them. They think I'm strict and I'm the rude one.
Right.
And I think they get a little intimidated. The truth is I get intimidated and I don't want to show it also.
So you actually put on this mask, right?
Yeah,
Pun intended. You put on this mask, you put on this facade. Okay, if I look like a strict officer, maybe the questions won't, I'll be still comfortable.
No, that's not intentional, but I think it comes naturally. Yeah.
Okay, it just comes across like that. All right. So please, listeners, don't think that Vishnu is this intimidating person. That's just who she is as a person. Once you get to know her, she's like a live wire who's got, so many surprises up her sleeve, like I said in the beginning itself. All right, Vishnu. So let's talk about your love for makeup. It's very obvious you're a very, very, very talented makeup artist, and I've had the pleasure of being dolled up by you for a lot of my, special occasions, and we worked on some creative concepts as well. So let's just go back to the beginning, because I know that you took a very calculated decision when you decided to become a makeup artist. Right? There was a very sincere thought behind it, because you were already a mother by the time you took this decision. So just tell me your thought process. What were you thinking when, you decided to delve into this world of makeup?
So I did not have any sort of purpose in life. I was a mother and I was a fully hands-on and still a fully hands-on mother. And there was this occasion that I wanted to dress up to. So a friend's wedding. And I just got my sari and blouse and everything, bangles and everything. I was never a makeup person. I always used to apply kajal and lipstick. That's it.
Okay.
But then I had too much time at home and
right.
I started watching YouTube videos and I was new to Instagram and I was following a couple of makeup artists. That's when I came across Akriti Sachdev, Mesmerize Makeup, her page. So I'm a huge fan of hers. And then I saw that she had put out a poster saying she's conducting a self-grooming class. Okay. And that seemed very interesting to me and I signed up for that. So when I went there for the class, the curiosity started off. So I was sitting in front of a kuti mirror, a brush and a few makeup items that she had given. And it felt like, what was I doing all these years?
Right.
This is what I should be doing. It wasn't like any other hobby that I take up. For example, I have been to plenty of painting classes or art classes just for relaxation.
Okay.
That's how I looked at this class too. But it turned out to be something else.
Okay.
It literally called out to me. It was like, excuse me? Okay, why are you late? It was literally like, this is what you should be doing. And I didn't want to put on makeup on myself. I wanted to learn more. Okay. So after that class, I asked Akriti if she's planning to conduct any professional makeup classes. Back then, she didn't do that. So after I asked her, she said, yeah, maybe in a couple of months I will do that. And I was the first to sign up for that too.
Okay.
And ever since, it's been magic.
All right, so that's a beautiful story, right? It's like somewhere you just feel like you find life's purpose. You find it's like this moment, it's this eureka moment where you think, oh my God, what have I been missing out on all these years? And after you picked up the brush, it's not like you immediately went into this whole series of signing up. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You started off slow, but you've built this very strong an Instagram following that looks forward to seeing what all you're going to be creating on an everyday basis. So how has that journey sort of been for you personally as a makeup artist? As a person, how do you feel that has helped you evolve?
So when I started off with Instagram, I used to sit in front of the mirror every day with whatever products I have. Very few products I used to have. So I told myself that, okay, I should do something new every day. And I should post it on Instagram if it's good. Mm-hmm. If it's not good, I won't post it. So I have several pictures which I cannot even look at today.
Okay.
That's horribly done makeup. So yeah, I used to try to do something new every day, like a very simple thing like how to blend your foundation properly, or how to apply winged eyeliner, or how to do your eyebrows and everything. And I think I was very consistent with that when I started off, at least for about a year and a half. I was very consistent with that, and people started to take notice. Mm-hmm. And as I saw that people started to take notice, and people were coming up to me, approaching me for shoots and to book me for bridals and everything, I think, it sort of motivated me a lot.
Right.
Yeah. So, and also personally, it has been such a huge thing in my life, not just as a career or not just as as an interest. Personally, it has also built me into this person who is a perfectionist. I don't know if I'm a perfectionist in anything else, but I think in makeup, I can safely say that I am a perfectionist.
I can vouch for that because I have seen you meticulously, I mean, I know that a winged liner is not one of the easiest things in the world to create, but I've seen you go at it like your life depended on it and made sure that,
how it feels, yeah.
I truly appreciate that because I know a lot of people have sort of, become makeup artists over the years with the advent of social media. And like you said, the workshops being more available and everybody coming out of their shell and sort of picking these unconventional professions, right? Yeah. Today, being a makeup artist may not sound as unconventional because a lot of people are doing it even as a side hustle. But when you started, it was still very nascent. Not many people understood that it could be a full-time profession. So what are your thoughts on that? How do you think that has sort of evolved over the years? How was it for you in the beginning?
So when I started off, it was nothing like I wanted to take it up as a career or as a full-time job or turn it into a business. I didn't have any of that ideas. So I was very curious. I wanted to learn more about this and I wanted to know what I can do with it. And the kind of high it gave me when I was practicing, that is what kept me going.
Right.
Not what I would make it into or turn it into. That was never in my mind. And then it slowly turned into a business that now I'm trying to run.
Right.
So I did not actually look at it as a job but as a business. Okay. But I think a lot of people look at it that way these days because to be honest, it's good money. Right. Once you get to that stage. And it looks like a very fancy thing to do, being a makeup artist and posting pictures. So if you're following a couple of makeup artists, you obviously their life as a makeup artist and everything. It looks very fancy and very easy, but that's not how it is. So only if you truly have the passion or drive for it, you can do it. Not everybody can do it, but I think it seems like a very fancy thing to do. It is not.
Yeah, this is something that we've always sort of observed. And I think today a lot of people, because we have social media, right, are being very real and being very honest about their experiences. Right? They call a spade a spade. They say, listen, being a makeup artist involves you waking up at 2 a.m. in the morning, multiple alarms, making sure that your bride is perfectly ready and all of those things. But again, the reason why I'm coming back to this question is there's still a lot of, I won't use the word stigma or taboo because I think it's not that, but I think there's a little bit of a misunderstanding as to what exactly entitles a makeup artist, right, as a profession. Because very honestly, if we told maybe our parents, right, and the generation before that, they still don't understand it. They still ask, is this a job? Is this what you're doing?
Yeah, why even a profession?
So they don't view it seriously. How does that affect you as a person, or do you let that affect you anymore? Do you sort of look at why people still term makeup like that?
I think initially it used to affect me a lot when my own family told me, why are you even wasting so much time? Why are you practicing so much? Why are you always sitting on it? It's not even like a profession it won't give you anything. Except for the satisfaction or the happiness that I had at that point. It won't turn into anything fruitful is what they thought, at least.
Right.
So that used to affect me a little bit. But I think when I started doing things consistently and little by little, when I started building myself as a makeup artist, they saw it too, and these days they encourage me a lot.
Okay.
Especially my parents, they have my back on this. Initially, they were dead against it. They were like, okay, this is not what you're supposed to do. You have a kid, you don't have any time to do all this, and this is a thing. They didn't look at it as a job or as a profession, but today they understand.
Right. Okay. I think that comes from a place of experience, that comes from a place of maturity and understanding, and making your folks at home understand that, this is what it is. This is what gives me happiness. Because I recently had this conversation with somebody else where we were talking about, breaking that barrier, breaking that sort of, again, not a stigma, but the sort of misunderstanding as to why we do the things that we do. Right? Because being an MC or being a dubbing artist, because you're also, aiming at becoming a full-time voiceover artist as well, right? You are trying it on the side. So let's talk about Whispers in the Wind. That's something that Vishnupriya is really good at. She recreates scenes from very popular films and dubs for the heroines in such a beautiful way. So every time you want to listen to it, listeners, you can check it out on Whispers in the Wind. So tell us a little bit about where that inspiration came from.
So I used to do a little bit of mimicry when I was in school.
Wow.
Nothing serious, but I used to mock, and my teachers, none of them know it. Probably one of them to listen to this, maybe they'll know, oh, wow, this girl. Because all of my teachers thought I was a very quiet and silent kid in class. That's what I look like, at least.
Right.
But I do everything behind their back, and my friends get caught for that. So,
once again, I don't think it's just your teachers who think that. I think it's anybody who sort of sees you for the first time. Like in Tamil there's a saying, right? In the Puneyum Paal Kudikuma, unmele, I think when people see you, that's probably what their first reaction is. Right. Yes, yeah, please continue. Yeah,
so I used to do a little bit of mimicry since then.
Right.
And the first movie that made me actually notice the dubbing or the voice was Varnamai.
Okay.
So when I went to watch the movie in the theater, I couldn't pay attention to anything else. I was fixated on Meghna's voice.
Okay.
It was so beautifully done. I thought Samira dubbed for herself. I didn't know who did.
Right. Okay.
So I went to the theater to watch that movie just for those few minutes. So those 40 minutes in the movie, I think. So it was so beautifully done, so naturally done. I fit into the role so perfectly. Later, I knew who did the dubbing. Chinmay had done that. I was mind blown. Oh, wow, it's not even her voice. It was so beautiful. And I used to try a little bit of that.
Okay.
To my friends, I used to talk like Meghna, and they were like, okay, dude, you have to do this. I was like, okay, maybe they're mocking me or making fun of me. I didn't take it up seriously.
Okay.
And then I watched Tangled. That's one of my most favorite movies ever. Okay. And the voice that was lent for Rapunzel, I fell in love with that. And I also did a little bit of research on that, how the dubbing was done and everything. Okay. It was so beautiful, and I think since then I've been wanting to try doing this. And then VTV came. I started noticing voice, the ups and downs, and how a different person can dub for another person and make it seem so real.
Right. So you were enamored by the whole process that goes behind lending a voice. All right, that's very beautiful. So when we talk about voices, right, again, another talent, a not so hidden talent of yours is that you sing really well. Because a lot of people have, on Instagram, I have interviewed you and Ranjit together on my radio show for that as well. So tell me a little bit about that, because I think somewhere, even without you realizing, your life has been so seamlessly merged with the art, right? So tell me a little bit about your fascination for music.
So ever since I was a little child, my dad trained me for Carnatic music. He used to take me to classes. He is a music teacher himself. Okay. So he used to teach me, and I got trained in Carnatic for about 10-15 years.
Wow.
But I did not pursue it, did not practice properly. I did not go after it because that was not really my passion.
Right.
But I was able to sing pretty decently. Even now, I don't have much practice. If I have practice or if I practice every day, I can sing well.
Right.
But I don't do that. Every now and then I try to sing some song, and I think I can pull it off quite decently.
Okay. So that's again a very honest admission from your end where you say that, you know what, my forte is this. This is where I sort of want to be at. It takes me back to my so-called singing days. I don't know. My mother used to always make fun of me. I had big dreams for you and that's why I named you Shruti. But you know, you literally have no...
But you sing. I didn't know that you sang.
That's something that a lot of people don't know. Something that I don't talk about because I don't think I would ever do that. Because I can't sing. I really cannot sing. I don't think I sound great. I think I've got a very decent talking voice, but again, a singing voice is something that I don't think. I learned Carnatic music when you were talking about the 10-15 years. It took me back. I learned Kirtanam, Varnam and all of that, but then I think somehow I found dancing more exciting than singing. So I just, yeah. Right. Okay. Moving on to your actual forte, which is makeup, right? So I think this might be a difficult question for you to answer, but I'm going to ask it to you anyway. As a makeup artist, what do you find more joy in? Do you like doing bridals or do you like doing creative work?
Okay, I should say 50-50. I cannot choose one then.
See, that's why I said it's a tough question. You have to be honest. There's no 50-50. At least either one has to get like a 60-40. Come on, you have to do that.
Okay, I'll admit that I like doing shoots 10% more than doing bridals.
Right.
Because, I'll tell you why I like both.
Okay.
Why I said 50-50.
Right.
So when it comes to bridals, the kind of satisfaction that people get, the kind of happiness that the mothers or the husbands or brothers or the people around the bride get when they see them fully decked up and everything,
right,
that tells me, okay, you're doing something right.
Right.
And bride herself. So when she's happy looking at herself, it's like, okay, thank you. You made my day. I don't know if your day was made, but you made my day. Right. That's how I feel when I complete a bridal and walk out of the place.
Okay.
When I come to the creative shoots and everything, it gives me a lot of freedom. And I'm very thankful to have met people who have always given me that space or freedom to do what I want to do. And that kind of freedom you don't get when you do bridals, because bride needs to look like herself, look like a bride. You cannot put all your creative stuff on a bride and convince her to do that. That's not fair. Right. But when you come to shoots and stuff, you can do what you want. Mm-hmm. So that creative freedom, I think it has pushed me a lot to do better and to become a better makeup artist. So that is why I like the creative shoots like a tad better than bridals.
Okay. Right. That's fair enough, because like you said, there's only so much that you can sort of experiment with when it comes to a bride, because there's a certain sort of template that people like. Like, for example, I still remember my mother's reaction when she saw me, when you got me ready for my engagement. And that was something that I hadn't seen my mother sort of, express in so many years, because she felt like I looked like myself, even with makeup on. And she said, no, like, this is the best version of you that I have seen. And all
Thank you so much, Auntie. Thank you. I'm so happy to hear this. Thank you.
All credits to you for that. And I think you've made countless brides and countless families. And more importantly, the husbands and the fiancés very happy when they see their actual person, walk up to the stage and not like a very modified version. All right. So talking a little bit about the industry as such, right? There are a lot of topics that people generally brush under the carpet. They don't want to talk about it because makeup by itself today, I feel, is a very competitive industry. Right? It has become very competitive, and there's a makeup artist everywhere. And as much as I believe that there's nothing wrong with that, as long as it doesn't affect each other in the industry, right? You got to have each other's back. What is your take on the current scenario that exists within the makeup artist community?
Okay, so when I see a new makeup artist or a budding makeup artist's page on Instagram, so I immediately go into her page and look at her work and everything. So if there is anything new I see, it inspires me. It makes me want to do better.
Okay.
So I think in that case, it's better that there are more people out there.
Right.
It's like a healthy competition. It does not intimidate you or it does not scare you, but it sort of tells you, see, you can do other stuff too. You can do a lot of other creative stuff there are people who are doing things that you've never thought of. So that sort of inspires you to do better, try new things and like that.
Okay.
But as much as that's a good thing, it's also a bad thing, because when there are new makeup artists, they agree to do work for free, a lot of work for free. And also, especially in a booming industry like the bridal wedding industry, most of them don't even get paid for the work they do. They voluntarily take up opportunities just for the opportunity. They do free bridals or they do bridals at very low cost. Okay. So that puts other makeup artists at risk. Like people who have been in the industry for a very long time. So we get questioned, why do you charge so much? So I can find a person who can only charge me just for half the price. So why do you charge so much? So we get questioned, or at least I get questioned sometimes. And I think people don't understand that a lot of efforts, a lot of years of experience and everything goes into that. So when it comes to pricing, I think it should be decently priced. You don't have to quote a lot, but it should be decently priced as a beginner. You don't have to do free work or work for nothing, like bare minimum.
Right.
I think that is one thing I've seen and experienced myself, which has hurt my career as well to an extent.
Right. Yeah, but I think this is subjective to a lot of, maybe I could call it a client servicing industry in the sense, because like you said, makeup, or whether it's MC for an event, because I've experienced it as well. So the first thing they ask is, why do I need to pay you so much when I can just hire somebody who will talk at a lesser price, right? But of course, I mean, the debate about who does it better is something we cannot sort of get into right now. But getting back to talking about charging a bare minimum or sort of doing work just for opportunities, what is Vishnupriya's take on the word collaboration? Because that is something that has been used so much on social media. Of course, there is a very positive connotation to it as well. There is a negative connotation to it as well. So what is your take on that?
Okay, so when it comes to collaboration, initially during my initial days, I used to take up a lot of unpaid collaborations without knowing what it was, without even asking any questions. So I just looked at it as an opportunity, as a practice. So okay, I'll get some practice time. Let me just go there, do my job, and then come back. But I wasted a lot of time doing that because I didn't get good pictures. Either the outfit or the photography or the editing, something, or the modeling, whatever. So at least one or two of those factors will not be in my favor. So the pictures will not come out well. It would be a waste of time, complete waste of time for me. Although I don't look at it as a waste of time, I look at it as practice. But then I started realizing that I should do my homework before agreeing to do an unpaid collaboration.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong in doing an unpaid collaboration, because if it brings equal amount of good opportunities to everybody who's involved in the shoot, then it's good to do that. But if it's purely a waste of time for you, you don't have to agree to it.
Right. I think that's a very fair thing to say, because at the end of the day, everybody is putting a lot of time and effort, because at the end of the day, it's a team output, right? Whether it's a makeup artist, whether it's the person who's modeling, anything, the photographer, everybody is putting so much hours into creating something, and you should all at the end of the day be proud of what has come out. And I think that's a very fair and honest approach to have, which is also good, because we sort of, I think there's a lot more talk about it today. A lot of people understand that this is what it is, and they're very clear in communicating that, hey, when I mean a collaboration, this is what I mean. Equal opportunities for everybody in the team. Okay, amazing. So a lot of valuable insight on that conversation as well. So sort of getting into the personality that Vishnupriya is, okay? Something that you truly admire about yourself, a quality that you believe is your biggest strength, and something that you sort of want to work on in the future. What would that be?
What I admire about myself is if I'm at work, if I'm doing something, I don't think I get mentally tired at all.
Okay.
I'll try to give my 200% when I'm at work.
Right.
Even if I'm really tired, even if I look tired, mentally I would give the same effort during the 10th hour as much as I gave for the first hour.
Right.
So that I think I would keep doing that, continue doing that. That's one thing that I think I admire about myself.
Right, but that's about work, okay? That is about work, and I've seen that and I can vouch for it. But I'm talking about Vishnupriya as a person, because as a makeup artist, we are all aware, we know the sort of commitment that you have. But I'm talking about Vishnupriya the person, not Vishnupriya the makeup artist.
Okay, so I don't judge anybody that easily.
Okay.
I give people a lot of time. I give people the benefit of doubt.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I admire about myself. I don't jump into conclusions or form opinions on people without giving them their time.
Awesome. See, that was like what I really wanted to know, because this is something that I, want to get people to talk about through this series. I want people who are listening to understand, the person behind the personality. That's the whole point. And something that you want to tell Vishnupriya the person, because you've had several experiences over the years. You've grown as a person, from who you were 5 years ago. Today, the Vishnupriya that I see is somebody who's very different. right? So how has that evolution happened, and what would you like to tell your future self?
Like I said before, I've been so lucky to have met a couple of people and to have made friends who have been a part of my life and also my journey as a makeup artist, which has changed me a lot and made me evolve into this person, whoever I am today. And what I'd like to tell myself is, do not fixate on things. Things as in people or incidents or anything of that sort. So I fixate on things and I overthink a lot. I go down spirals a lot.
Okay.
So I think if I don't do that, I can be a better person.
Okay, again, that's very candid. I think somewhere we are sort of delving deep down and we're understanding ourselves a lot better. I think the millennial generation, or let's say the 90s kids, I think we're in that sort of phase right now where we're entering the 30s and we're thinking, hey, what are we doing with our lives? We need to be doing a lot more and have a lot more purpose. I think that's beautiful, and I think you've evolved into a very, very strong personality, somebody who's inspiring a lot of people, not just in the makeup field but as a person itself. And I think your body of work speaks volumes for the kind of talent that you are. I just want to touch upon one more question before we sort of wind up this conversation today. I know that you're a wonderful mother, you're a hands-on mother who sort of gives it as much as you love your job. I know that you love family as well. So how does your little one sort of handle your schedules? How does he view you?
Okay, so I started off when he was 3 years old. So initially, when I used to take up bridals and work early morning shifts and stuff like that, he suffered a bit.
Okay.
So there was this separation anxiety.
Right.
So I was fully at home, fully available for him
all
the time. So that sort of started changing at that point. So it was a little difficult for him to adapt to, but I think he quickly adapted into it.
Okay.
So 6 months or 8 months down the lane, he was fine with it. So when I tell him, okay, I have a bridal, so I call him Kannamma. Mm-hmm. So when I have a bridal Kannamma, so I have to leave at this time. Now I'll drop you at grandfather's place. He'll be like, okay, so when will you come back? That's all. So he won't ask anything else. Right. And if possible, if he misses me, he'll call me. He'll ask what I'm doing, and he's a very social person. He's so unlike me. Okay. So he's a very social person. If there are people around me, he'll ask to talk to them. The bride or the hairstylist or anybody else, he'll talk. Right. He talks to everybody. So he knows my friends. He knows what I do. So he's sort of a part of the whole journey. But I don't take him along with me. That's the only thing I don't do.
Okay.
He's got adjusted to it so well. So these days he's completely cool. And he looks at me working on my Instagram, editing videos and recording and everything. Even when I'm recording most of my videos, he's sitting right next to me. And most of the pictures that I post on Instagram were taken by him. Yeah.
I was just gonna say that I've seen him, take some really beautiful shots of you, and you posted saying, "Hey, this is taken by my son." And sometimes you just don't believe, right? The sort of support that our family gives us in the smallest of ways. And being a child as young as 7, I think he's doing an amazing job of being so supportive of you. That's a beautiful relationship that you have, and I wish and pray truly, Vishnu, that you have a lot more success in your life, because you deserve it all. You're one of the most hardworking, the most sincere, and one of the most committed professionals that I have seen on this journey of mine, and I truly wish you nothing but the best. Thank you so much for joining me today. I think we've spoken about a lot of things. I think we've sort of managed to cover a variety of different topics that I wanted to discuss with you. And I know that I'm going to be on this journey with you as a silent spectator, watching and cheering you on.
You've never been silent, because whenever I post pictures or videos, I see your comment in almost all of it. And I really take notice, whether or not you know that. I take notice when my friends comment on my pictures, right, and when my friends like my pictures or share my work. It truly means a lot to me. So, and it's been such a pleasure getting to know you. See, the first time, in fact, I wanted to tell about this. So the first time I met you, you were already a very successful RJ and you were an MC. You were like a very popular figure on Instagram. I was just starting off with Instagram and I was so intimidated by you. And you kept talking, you won't shut your mouth, and you were so comfortable around everybody. I was just scared. I was very scared, and I just kept to myself, and I was working. I still remember that day, the first time I met you.
The first time we met was at Anita Kamraj's place where we shot for Colors in Mirrors, and I remember I came, I think, from an event, so I was already like in a sari or something like that. I came, and I remember, I think after, like I think a couple of months later, I think when we were talking about it, you told me, you said, dude, you talk so much.
And so I was a beginner back then, and you already knew so much about makeup and hair. And when I was working on you, you were like, okay, am I doing something wrong? Am I doing it right? I was shit scared. I did not even open my mouth. And you kept going on and on and on. I was like, please, God, please help me. I should do this well. But thankfully, the look came out so well. And I think it was such a huge hit, that look.
Yes. I think every one of the work that we've done, every one of the projects that we've worked on after that have been truly very special to all of us. I think the outputs that have come and the journey that we both had together. Now I know, okay, so next time when I meet somebody, I think I should probably tone down the talking.
No. See, it's not that. You're very friendly and you make the person feel very comfortable and all of that. But I think more of who I was. Right, I'm always the person who will be scared and who will be nervous to meet someone for the first time. It's not your fault.
Okay. I'm glad. I'm glad we had this conversation and cleared this up after the many years that we've known each other. But this is what I'm talking about, listeners. So this is the sort of conversation that I want to bring to you. These light-hearted moments of just joy, laughter, and happiness, and two friends talking about their life journeys, right? Because to be very honest, I know that all of these stories that I'm sharing with you, somewhere I'm sharing with you in the hope that it helps somebody who needs it. Somebody who's looking for that inspiration to be a makeup artist, to be a MC, to be an RJ, to be anything. All you need to do is just have that belief in yourself and keep going at it every single day. Consistency is the key, and just have wonderful friends like Vishnu along your journey, to have them support you, to have them to encourage you to do all of the madness that you're doing, and just keep going forward. That's what life is all about. So once again, a big thanks to makeup artist Vishnu Priya for joining me. If you could just explain the visualize tag for me that you have on Instagram, that would be amazing.
So when I started off, I didn't know what to name my makeup artistry or however you want to call it. So I have this friend from college. Her name is Aishwarya.
Okay.
I was talking to her, and she was the one who came up with it. That was the first thing she told me. She said, why shouldn't it be visualize makeup artistry? Mm-hmm. I asked her, why visualize? She said it's something that you imagine. It's something visual, that you create something in your mind and then bring it out from your hand. Right. And instead of having it VISU, you can add a H to it, because there's the wish in your name also. Right. So it's a part of your name. It's a part of what you do. So it makes sense. Why can't it be that? And it made sense to me on that day. That's why visualize.
Such a beautiful thing, no? Sometimes I think all of these pieces of life, all of these puzzles, a little bit somewhere, you just realize that these things just fall into place perfectly because it was meant to happen. And there's a reason behind every single thing that happens in all of our lives. And I truly hope and pray that a lot of success comes your way. And on that note, I just want to tell you, listeners, we come to the end of the podcast, The People I Meet. This particular episode, I had a makeup artist, Vishnu Priya, joining me today. We had a very interesting conversation about so many things. It was just like catching up over coffee virtually. And I will see you with yet another interesting episode with yet another interesting personality, and I'll share some more inspiring stories with you on the next episode of the podcast, The People I Meet. This is me, Shruti Vijay Kumar Basant, a radio jockey from Chennai, signing off.